Well, welcome back, folks. In today's Shop Talk, we're going to continue on the conversation that we had in a previous video. It was video number 184, Shop Talk number 29, where I discussed the wheel cleaner solution that I'd used or had been using for years to clean carburetors. And I'm going to take that conversation one step further in this video. What you see right now is the carburetor off the Honda SL125. That will be my next restoration project. The reason I'm using this carburetor is this is the next carburetor I'm very likely going to need to clean. And so I thought, why not just use the carburetor that's already queued up for work, even though I won't be getting to the Honda for quite some time, certainly the carburetor. I thought I'd go ahead and use this as my test sample. This, by the way, was not the original carburetor off my 125 project, the Honda SL125. It didn't have a carburetor when I bought the machine, so this I bought off of eBay probably 4 or 5 years ago, somewhere back in there. But it is the right carburetor for that machine. I did break it all down here, and again, the conversation here is not about this carburetor per se, but rather cleaning of carburetors. And you can see I've already taken it all apart. This is a typical Keihin carburetor, which is Honda's, I think, their only supplier of carburetors, as far as I know, because Honda has an investment in Keihin and has had for years. Very good carburetors, by the way. I've had very good luck working with Keihins. So I've broken the carburetor completely apart, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use that formula or that conversation that I referenced in the previous video, and if you check right up here, you will see a link will pop up to that previous video, referencing an article I referred to in that video called Cleaning Zinc Alloy Fuel Bodies by Bruce Smith, and I think I put a link to that in the description of that previous video. And in that article, Bruce Smith referred to using two solutions. One was grease lightning, which I also have commonly used. I always keep at least a gallon of this in my shop. This is an alkaline-based cleaner, and he discussed using this first and then doing a soak with pine sol. Now, pine sol is not something I commonly have in my shop. In fact, we don't use it at our house. My wife doesn't care, frankly, for the smell of it. So recently, when we were out on one of our shopping trips, and this is being made during the height of the virus pandemic we're all dealing with, since we didn't have any pine sol, I wasn't sure I'd even be able to find it when we went on one of our weekly shopping excursions. And believe it or not, the grocery store had all kinds of it. I was thinking maybe people would be snatching it up for their household cleaning purposes, but this was not in short supply, unlike a lot of other things like paper products, at least in my area. But anyway, able to buy this. So this is a brand new bottle, and the grease lightning I already had around. What Bruce Smith refers to in his article is using initially a 50-50 mix of grease lightning and water, soaking for up to, I believe it was 12 hours, and then moving on to a 2-hour soak with pine sol. And the reason, and this is an acidic cleaner, by the way, versus the alkaline-based grease lightning. And the idea is to approach the cleaning of the item two different ways. One with an alkaline solution, which addresses the organic contamination, and then the acidic pine sol would clean the non-organic contamination, such as mineral deposits, etc. So I'm going to use that technique and that approach on this carburetor. I'm going to use my ultrasonic cleaner rather than just soaking. In the article, he references the fact that you don't have to have ultrasonic cleaner, but it is certainly advantageous. I'm going to use it because I have it. So what I'm going to do is start with a 50-50 mix of the grease lightning in the ultrasonic cleaner, and I'm going to hit the carburetor for a number of heated cycles and see how it does. And now we'll pick up the video over there later on and then I'll drain the tank and replace it with a straight non-cut. In other words, I'm not going to use any water, with a pine saw, and see if we can't see how that turns out. I am not going to do excessive cleaning of this. I'm going to leave the inside here. You can see that's old fuel. That's very common. Of course, carburetors sat with old fuel in them for many years. It smells of that characteristic old varnish fuel smell. You can see it's kind of powdery there. I'm not going to do excessive cleaning. I might do a little brushing with a soft brush to get the loose stuff out. Other than that, these parts, the carburetor body, the float bowl, and I'm not sure about the brass parts. I'm probably going to focus on these two pieces right now. The intent is to see if these combination of these two chemicals, as referenced in the article, actually works as he implies it will. So we're going to do a little test ourselves and see how this works out. So I'm going to go set up over at the cleaner, the ultrasonic cleaner, and we'll see if we can't get started with these two items first. I will remove this rubber hose, by the way, and this plug right here in the bottom, this drain plug, before I immerse them in the tank. And I am going to have to put them in the tank without putting them in a glass jar, as I've talked about before, because this, I don't have a glass jar big enough. I don't think. I'll go up the house and check, but I don't think I'm going to have anything glass big enough to hold this and at the same time fit inside of the ultrasonic cleaning tank. So I'm going to have to check that out a little bit first, but we'll see how that turns out in a few minutes. Over at the ultrasonic cleaner, I do have a 50-50 mix of water and grease lightning in here heating up. You can see I've got the thermostat set for 49°C. That's about 120 degrees Fahrenheit. We're actually right now at about 46°C, which is 17 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to go ahead and get this process started. The carburetor parts I'm going to do, of course, are the body and the float bowl, and I have brushed them out a little bit. I barely have enough solution in here to cover the carb bodies. I'm not using a glass container, so I'm just going to immerse them in. I'm going to rotate them during the process to make sure they get thoroughly cleaned. Here, I'll give you a look at what that looks like inside. I think you can see there what that's looking like. And I think I'm going to run the cycle, the time cycle, on a 20-minute increments. So I'll do 20 minutes, rotate, 20 minutes, rotate, and I'll probably do that for, well, at least 3 cycles, if not 4. So I've got to bump my time up. That's 20 minutes. And we're going to go ahead, I'm going to hit the start button, and I'm going to cut away because the noise is going to be very irritating. I'll bring you back probably at the other end of this whole process using the grease lightning. Here's the car body after 4 full cycles, and I rotated it in different positions during those 4 cycles. So this had a total of 80 minutes, and as expected, it had darkened the metal. Cleaned that up really good though. And generally, I would say it cleaned it pretty well. The float bowl, it didn't do quite as good a job cleaning down in here. You can see there's a little debris. Might even be a little rust in there. But generally, I would say it did a good job cleaning. Again, just a reminder, this was a 50% water grease lightning solution, which is very alkaline. What I'm going to do next is drain the solution, the grease lightning solution, from the tank, and I'm going to save it and refill this with my pine saw. I don't know if I'm going to have enough pine saw. I might have to, again, I'm not going to use heat with a pine saw. I'm just going to use it cold, and I'm going to rotate this several different ways, just like we just did with these parts, and we'll see on the other end what they look like. Well, that's the completion of the 4th run. I reduced the time to 15 minutes per run, so it's a total of an hour. I did rotate the parts each time. I did have enough of the pine saw, by the way. You can see what the parts look like there. I'm quite pleased with the way these came out. In terms of the finish, and they're nice and clean inside. Allow me to go give these a good rinse in the sink, get all the pine saw cleaner off, and I'll meet you over at the bench and we'll do a final review. Back at the bench, we can take a little closer look at the parts. The float bowl came out, the finish, quite a bit brighter, as you can see. I'm guessing, and that's all it is, it's due to this metal composition, whatever this metal is, or this float bowl is made of, probably accounts for that difference. It did come very clean, as you can see. That's a little gasket residue from that drain plug I didn't clean off. And just to reiterate, I did not pre-clean this like I normally would do with something like a soda blast. They came apart, went straight in the tank. I think that they're very clean. I think that the internal passages are probably very clean. You can see a little adhesive right there, I think, around the edge of the float bowl where the gasket goes. Again, if I had pre-cleaned this with the soda blaster, that would not be there. And but I'm very confident that I did a great job cleaning of the components. A little bit of debris right around that hole right there. Now, in terms of cleaning the outside, the finish, what was mentioned in the article, which would probably work, is a little elbow grease like this with a fine kind of brush. I'm not sure this is the right one to use right now, but I just grabbed it to illustrate what could be done. Problem with something like this is I might scratch this finish, so you have to be careful with that. So I'm not going to do anything further right now. So let's get back to the point of this this video. Did the combination of greased lightning, 50-50 mix, complete cleaning, followed by a change to straight pine saw, clean the parts well? I believe it did. I think that combination of solvents, one is alkaline, one's acidic, did exactly what the article suggested it would. I'm not real wild about the nature of the finish that it left here, to be honest with you. This is great. I think this came out okay. This one, not so much. So I'm going to have to put a little elbow grease into polishing this up eventually. I think my conclusion is that if you pre-clean the parts like I normally would do with the soda blaster, then hit them with those two solvents in the solvent or in the ultrasonic tank, I think it does a great job with cleaning. It does tend to darken the finish a bit, but I'm pretty confident it did a great job cleaning the parts. Would I use it again? Probably. I probably will try it again. Next time I have to clean a carburetor body or something similar, I will pre-clean with soda blast or the soda blast media first before I tank them in the ultrasonic cleaner with those two solvents. And try it again in another time. But I think it worked okay. And the article indicates that you don't really need an ultrasonic cleaner. You probably don't. I think he talked about a 12-hour soak, 50-50 mix, grease lightning, a 12-hour or so soak first, thorough rinsing, then a 2-hour or so soak in the pine saw cleaner, and that would be the conclusion of the process. And that probably will work okay. But I've got the ultrasonic cleaner, so I will continue to use it. In terms of the brass parts, we got the float and the jets and the needles and all that kind of thing. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do about these. There's really no rush because it'll be a while before I really need this carburetor. So I really did this just as an experiment to try that the solvents that was referenced in the article. So that's going to be it for this video today, folks. I hope you found it interesting. Any thoughts, questions, comments, drop me a note. Otherwise, as usual, thanks for watching.